Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the Adventures Travel Club television show. Betty, we're in Melbourne, Australia.
Yeah, what fun. I just love Melbourne. It's a great city.
It's a garden city and one that we're going to take a tour of. And there's Edsel back there with his laugh sign.
Laugh, laugh, laugh. Laugh when the world laughs with you, right?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Welcome again to Melbourne. For this morning's tour, we're going to do the city sides, of course, and what we're going to do first of all is we're just going to go down past the zoo, because some of the people want to go to the zoo, so it's not really very far out of the way, so we'll go down and drop the people off there. Swanson Street, as I said to you, the main street, is the street that we're in, and we're heading in a northerly direction. Located on the left-hand far corner is the Melbourne University. On our right-hand side is the Royal Women's Hospital. The Melbourne University was founded by Hugh Challing Childers. This university covers approximately 140 acres, and in the vicinity of 16,000 students attend this university. It was the first of the universities of Melbourne, and has all its different departments, as you'll see as we go along here.
Well, these grounds are really beautiful here on the university, aren't they, Betty?
Yeah, the green reminds me of Ireland, everything green.
Yep, and I'll tell you, Melbourne certainly is.
You look to the right here, the little narrow, high one there. Isn't it a beautiful little place? Be worth a lot of money, of course, because of its proximity to the city. What is it, only 50 yards down, and you can jump on the tram and be in the city in about 2 minutes flat. So quite a convenient area here. As I said, most of those houses have now been taken over by the university and are used as dormitory houses, although they're not within the bounds of the university itself.
Well, I love these city tours, and it looks like we're outside of the city, but we're actually not. We're headed to the zoo because some of the people on the trip had been to Melbourne before, and they've already taken the city tours. So we're going to go out to the zoo and drop them off so that they can have a view there. And that's kind of nice, Betty, that we're able to go ahead and accommodate people that may have been there before so that they're not repeating themselves.
Yeah, that was Mary and Joe Ryan, and their daughter and niece came out from Chicago for that, and they said it was worth the trip. There's some butterflies out there that are well worth seeing.
Butterflies in the zoo?
Butterflies in the zoo, not in your stomach, or in the zoo.
Oh, that's nice. Well, of course, it looks like they're doing a little bit of painting here, too, at the zoo. But as we said, this really is a garden city. I love the big, wide boulevards that they have, and also, of course, the so many trees. Just beautiful, isn't it?
Yes. I wish we did more tree planting here.
Now, as I said to you before, Melbourne, Victoria, the Garden State. Within Melbourne, we have over 1,380 acres of parks and gardens. And today you'll see quite a bit of that area along with our city sites, worked up into that ornate wrought iron. You'll see the names on the cottages, such as on the left there, Learmont Terrace, Mentone, Como Terrace. These places, Melbourne, of course, was a free settlement, not a convict settlement, and the people who settled here came from the British Isles, of course, and they like to keep some of their home touch, and you can see that the names on all those places are probably from the places that people came from originally, and so they wanted to retain that link with their homeland. It's rather pretty, isn't it? Yeah. You can see out to the right here where some work's being done on a couple of these places to restore them. Would anyone like me to stop? Would you like to take some photos? Well, look, I'll tell you, up here I'll do a U-turn. So I'll stop here and you can have a little walk around 5-10 minutes, whatever you like, and just... This area, incidentally, is a very popular area, and were one of these smaller terrace type homes to hit the market, it would probably be sold within a week of hitting the market, and its figure would be somewhere around the $200,000 to $250,000 mark. Very small homes, but of course very desirable because of its location.
Well, this whole area was really quite impressive, but quite expensive too, as he stated.
That's what he said when we asked him how much an apartment or a house was. By the way, we had a wonderful guide. He was so courteous and so accommodating, and I've asked for him again on our next trip now, so we should have him.
Oh, that's good. No, he was very good and so knowledgeable too. I really love the architecture here, and this is really quite something. I would imagine, though, this is a very expensive place to live.
Well, I think so. I think he told us that, and so we're glad that we're in the USA.
Right. Let's take a look at something very interesting now.
Which is into the road, or put into the road just ahead of us there. And when the lights are on red, when you first set of wheels go over the sensor strip, it arms the camera. When the second set of wheels go over, it fires the camera. And if you go through a red light here, $135 fine.
Well, that little box, as he was explaining, is a radar camera. So if you do run the red light, then you get one hefty fine, just as he said. And Betty, this is an exhibition hall here. 1.7 million people went through there in a trade show a few years back. But isn't this a beautiful place?
Yes, it certainly is.
And you can see by the sign, the Caravan and Camping Show is on here at the moment. It's an exhibition buildings. This street that we're in actually is named Exhibition Street. And here we have the exhibition gardens. The large tree on the left is a Moreton Bay fig tree. Comes from Moreton Bay in Queensland. And of course, as I said, the exhibition gardens.
I think it's quite interesting to see how much building is going on here in Melbourne.
The monument there with the 3 8s at the top is the 8-hour day monument. 8 hours for work, 8 hours for recreation, and of course 8 hours for sleep. The Emily McPherson College, which is on the left, was originally a College of Domestic Sciences, and indeed still is, but it was a separate entity. It's now annexed by the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology, which is located on the left and a bit further down. Directly on our left, the Bluestone building, you can see with the big iron gates, that's where our most infamous highwayman or bushranger Ned Kelly was hanged. 11th of November 1880. His last words were, "Such is life." Located on our left now is the Melbourne Public Baths. This public baths facility was, of course, used by the people back in the early days because they didn't have the water laid onto their homes, and so the public baths was there. It does have ordinary bathing facilities there, plus it has a couple of swimming pools, a Jewish ceremonial bath, which I can't remember the name of, and also a Turkish bath.
Well, Betty, as we take our city tour, we're fast approaching the place that you like, and that's the Victoria Market.
Oh, I do. That's wonderful. You can have anything you want there, whether it's food or clothes, anything.
Good shopping.
Elizabeth Street, and over on the left-hand far corner there, you'll be able to see the Victoria Market, the Queen Victoria Market. Now, of course, today being Monday, the market isn't open, unfortunately. This front section is the meat and poultry section, but this is the produce section. Remember I pointed out to you, look at the lovely little shops here, aren't they cute?
Well, Betty, I know that you can really shop to your heart's content. It's too bad the day that we went there it was closed, but there just seem to be just dozens and dozens of little shops, the retail shops, there's the antique shops, and then, of course, the vegetable market, too.
Marv, I was in Melbourne before, and I've been in that market, and I've been in all those little shops, and I can guarantee that you can find anything you want at a fairly reasonable price.
That's good. Well, it's probably better than shopping at some of the stores downtown, I suspect.
Well, people bring their own artifacts there, as well as the regular wholesale things that they do sell. Wonderful fruits and vegetables.
Well, you can see that the stalls are huge there. I just love this traveling. But, you know, Betty, we've got some good news and some bad news, and that is, the good news is our Fun on Wheels trip that's coming up for June 21st.
It's filled!
That's
Hooray,
right.
hooray.
It's filled. It's sold out.
Yeah.
Are you gonna take a few standbys?
Yeah, I'll take a waiting list because you never know what's going to happen between now and the 21st. Although look how close that is.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
And that trip goes to Las Vegas, the Zion National Park, Grand Canyon, Laughlin, and
are we gonna have fun?
It is going to be a lot of fun. But right now, let's get back to Melbourne.
Located to our right now is the Flagstaff Gardens. So named there in the early days, this is the highest natural point in the city. And you can get a view from up here, before all the buildings went up, of course, of the harbour itself, the port of Melbourne. When a new ship came into port, the flag was raised and a cannon was fired. And all the traders who in the early days had their shops located in this area on the left would close up shop, and of course the arrival of a ship in port was very, very important because people would have people coming over here to migrate to live.
Had to get a shot of those two Aussie policemen. Don't you like those hats?
Oh, I think
those
they're
uniforms?
so handsome. Look at. Well, I think everybody looks good in a uniform anyway, but they're outstanding.
And I think the hats really, really make the uniform.
Oh, look, directly ahead of us, one of the barristers with his wig and cape.
Oh, yeah.
See him there crossing the street? Of course, we work under the British system.
Right. Watch him
Right where the light
the
is.
street. Wait, and look right there where he crossed the street. There.
You see that?
Oh, he's gone now.
Oh, he disappeared.
This building is an exact replica of the forecourts of Dublin, apart from one very, very tiny detail. That detail being that the Statue of Justice here is not blindfolded. And when they put the Statue of Justice above the main door, they said it was time justice was seen, not to be blind. Now, I'm going to be very illegal here and go into the middle of the road so that you can all look up there and see that Statue of Justice above the main entry. See it up there? The Supreme Court.
Well, it's interesting that justice was not blind in Melbourne, huh?
You couldn't really see from that angle, and it was dark up there. But, Marv, I think this is a really good time to give you a few kudos for all your camera work. You do a fantastic job.
Are you kidding? It is so bumpy. I think you get seasick looking at this.
No, but you get the feeling of where we are. I think to think you're doing this out of a bus, I think is just remarkable. And you are to be congratulated. So
Well,
take it
thank
in the
you.
vein that
Okay.
it's given. Okay.
Listen, I tell you, I was trying to hold this camera almost straight up because this old architecture, and look at, and then the new architecture, but how it's all joined and blended together. It's not offensive. I mean, it just seems to go hand in hand. I think the city planners really did a nice job.
They did a fine job. But in many places, they left the facade and put the building in back of it, which I think is wonderful.
Well, so they're doing that in a lot of countries
Yes.
now. They're leaving the older building, the facade, the front of it, and then building newer things on the back. And I think that's good. Maybe it's a lesson that we can learn here. But, boy, this architecture is just really, really striking, I think. And you kind of have to break your neck a little bit to look
right.
out,
But
look
look at
straight up from the bus window. But it is really something.
Wales. You'll notice a lot of banks, insurance companies, etc. have their offices here, but most of them do have their offices in Collins Street, which is the next street down. Melbourne was, for many years, the money capital of Australia. We tend to be losing it now, unfortunately. It looks like Sydney is taking that title from us. However, that's beside the point. We have some, I feel, quite colourful terms in Australia, but some of them can't be used too loosely. Okay, of course, Burke Street. On the left there, the Golden Arches. Yeah, Macca's. There you go. Breakfast is still on. Yeah. Elizabeth Street. Okay. If you look to the left, the GPO, the General Post Office. Rather interesting building because it has three different styles of architecture: Doric, Ionic, and Corinthian. You can see that it's quite marked, isn't it? The different styling. And there, ahead of us again, is the Burke Street Mill.
I think this must be a really exciting city to probably live in because there just seems to be so much of, again, the old and the new all mixed in together. It's really quite a beautiful city.
Yeah, and their little mode of transportation is great. I love going on their streetcars.
If you look straight ahead of us there now, you'll be able to see the Flinders Street station. This is the terminus for our electrified rail system of metropolitan Melbourne. Flinders Street. It is the southern boundary of the city proper. Little Collins Street, which we're about to cross. As you can see on the left, the block. See the beautiful work in the floors there, and also the ceilings. Most of the arcades of Melbourne are like that.
The arcade that we just saw goes from street to street, and as he said, the ceilings and the floors are really quite beautiful, and all the shops that are located in there. And of course, you've probably seen that if you've been to London, the same type of thing too. Really beautiful.
Located on our left now is the Scots Church. As you can see, some work going on the facade to restore. Over on the left-hand far corner is the Uniting Church, St. Michael's. Rather a different type of construction, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty.
Over on the right-hand far corner is the Hyatt on Collins.
Again, Betty, these different styles of architecture here as you just look from corner to corner, and also some of the rather fancy shopping that you can do in Melbourne as well.
Yeah, that isn't really my speed, the Gucci's and the
Poochies and the
Laurent.
Woochies.
No, I will take the fairs, and I like the arts and crafts made by the local people. But I, too, have been really fascinated by the contrast of architecture. The old with the new is so beautiful.
Yeah, this beautiful old hotel that we've gone by. We're getting into the theater district right now, and there's the one theater where the Phantom of the Opera is playing is really quite something. You can see there's a lot of stained glass windows here, and this is the Princess Theater. And as we go away from the building, there is a sliding glass roof that they sometimes, I don't think they open it anymore. This was done built during their gold rush days there in Australia. But there's a portion of the roof that in the daytime that they would slide back and let the sunlight in, and which is quite a feature for this beautiful, beautiful old theater. It's really, really quite magnificent. Look at the roof structure up there. Isn't that nice? That's really quite something. And being that we're down under, they call this the upside down fountain. For some reason, I thought that was really kind of clever. And the Aussies kind of tease themselves a little bit. The upside down fountain. There it is in Melbourne.
It was done by the state artist. The story roughly is that a couple of the slaves stole fire and brought it down to earth, and the god of fire sent down a lady to take revenge. On the left there, Pandora, and Pandora of course had her magic box. When she opened her box, she released the ills and evils of the world. My mum used to tell me that my bedroom was like Pandora's box. This is the Catholic Cathedral of Melbourne, and it's built of bluestone. This building took 90 years to build, 90 years to build. The reason for that being that when it was being constructed, gold was found and all the people left, all the tradesmen left and went to find their wealth in the gold fields. The main spire is 340 feet high, 340, and the cross at the top weighs 7 tons. This cathedral is of minor basilica stature, and the crossed keys above the main door signify minor basilica.
Well, this is quite an impressive basilica, and you think that it did take 90 years to build. That's quite something.
The guide was really neat. That really wasn't on the agenda, but he did stop and let us go inside, and it was certainly a worthwhile visit. It was just wonderful.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
We're going now to the Fitzroy Gardens, which are also here right in the center of town, and we're going to see Cook's Cottage. A lot of that stone that he was talking about, that blue stone, came from this particular area, and they were kind of quarry-like, and then they made the gardens after that. But here is the cottage. I think it's a reconstruction. I'm not sure.
It is a reconstruction.
Is it reconstruction?
Yeah, it is reconstructed, and it was not that well kept up at the time, partially that way, but that it is so well groomed now. They have people working constantly to keep it in the pristine condition that it's in.
Yep. Betty, while we're looking at Cook's Cottage here in Melbourne and these gorgeous gardens, we should remind people that we're going to do another Fun on Wheels bus trip next year. In fact, you and I have been sitting down trying to plan out next year's itinerary. And a lot of people have said, hey, why don't you go to Branson, Missouri?
Yeah, country, huh?
That's right, country and western music in Branson. You know, all the stars from Nashville now have built their big places there in Branson. So we are going to do that for 1994. We're going to take a trip to Branson, Missouri, and that's going to be a super trip.
You know, I already have people signed up for that one.
Do you really?
Yeah, John and Tina Mendes from over in Riverdale are going for sure, and well, I have others, but I just happened to, they just came to mind.
Well, that is great. So that's going to be next year. So that'll be something to put on your trip schedule for those of you who would like to do that. But we do want to remind you, too, that we have some other trips that are still available for this year.
Yeah,
and
we have Greece that's coming up in September.
That's right. And we also have an Egyptian adventure. That's our Nile cruise. That will be in October. Also, we'll be back in the Holy Land in November, as well as Rome and also Cairo, Egypt. So we have a lot of things that are still planned.
Open.
Betty, how would you like to have this tree in your backyard?
Well, I wouldn't mind it because it doesn't have a lot of leaves. I have a fruitless mulberry in mine, and right now I wish I didn't. Especially when it gets windy, you know, and they all fall and the cold comes.
Well, this, I'll tell you, is a ficus tree, and this is what they call that Moreton Bay fig.
It's too bad it showed up there. I would have thought you were really smart if I hadn't seen it up there on the tree. I thought, oh, Marv, I'm impressed.
Well, at first I thought it was a banyan tree or a rubber tree or something like that because the base of it sort of looks that way, and they keep it so well manicured, like you say.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they did have a sign up there. But so look at all the various things that you'll find here in the Fitzroy Gardens.
You could spend weeks here, just like San Francisco's gardens, you know, the Golden Gate Park and places. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Only not as many people as you would find there in San Francisco.
Yeah.
This was really quite magnificent.
As you'll see shortly, if you look into the left, there are modifications taking place to make the ground bigger. And there into the left you can see it. The Melbourne Cricket Ground. The ground was proclaimed in 1853 and in 1956 was used for part of the Olympic Games when they were held in this city, of course, in that year. And football, of course, is our winter sport. And you can see the sign above the stand there, if you drink then drive, you're a bloody idiot. And that, see the sign again on the left, drink, drive, bloody idiot. This is, of course, because of the problems that do come along with drink driving. We have a blood alcohol limit on people here of 0.05. It's called the Yarra, Y-A-R-R-A. The word Yarra comes from the Aboriginal, and the Aboriginals actually called it the Yarra Yarra. With the doubling of the word, it is not really in the plural, but the words Yarra Yarra truly translated mean ever flowing. And the reason that it's ever flowing is the fact that the river is tidal. And so that's why the Aboriginals knew it as ever flowing. Now, a lot of people say to you that the Yarra is a dirty river. It's the only river in the world that flows upside down. They say all sorts of nasty things about our beautiful river. But I'm here to tell you that the river is actually very, very clean. And the reason it looks muddy is the fact that it's so clean you can see all the mud on the bottom. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, muddy or not, it certainly is a beautiful drive right here next to the Yarra River.
Yeah.
And
excuse me a minute, but I just can't help but not say something about our guide driver. He was hilarious. I thought that was so funny. I'd like to claim that as my own joke, but I don't dare. But he was just really good.
Yeah, he really was. And he brought us to this place here. This is a home of the Armitage family, 1864. Is when it was built. Now, this is one of and the grounds, of course, are just, again, beautiful, but this is one of the older homes that was built way back when.
And it's beautiful.
Isn't it nice?
Look at it, yes.
Oh, that is something. I mean, it really, I would say that this is probably a mansion if there is a mansion. We're going to take a look at some newer mansions after this, but this was beautiful just to walk around the grounds and go through, and there were some old carriages and old cars in the garage as well.
We didn't do a lot of touring here, but it was so worthwhile just to see for yourself what kind of homes that they had in those days.
Yeah, I think so. And this was nice because we did this at a very nice, relaxed pace. And I think that, again, spoke very well of our driver guide, again, who Betty says we're going to have on the trip again this next year. Let's look at some other homes.
Beautiful home, extensive security. This is where LBJ stayed when he came to Melbourne. Beautiful home. Now, you ask about values. I've been told that this building is valued at over $12 million, this property. Style of home. This house that's on the left here now, they pulled a, yeah, it is a home. They bought the house that was on there, paid $750,000 for the house to wreck it and to build this place here. $750,000 for a block of land. Unbelievable, isn't it? Quite often, a lot of people here, if a house next door comes up for sale, they'll buy the house next door and pull it down and put a tennis court or something like that. And I'll show you exactly where that has happened in a couple of instances here. Whenever we come down this street, there is always tradesmen working all the time. The amount of money that is spent in renovations, etc. here must be nothing short of phenomenal. This place on the right, the tennis court there, that did have a home on it up until 2 years ago. It came up for auction and people that live here bought it and put a tennis court in. And it was a lovely home I considered it to be a lovely home. Look at the beautiful colour of the autumn trees on the left here, the russet.
Well, these really are some impressive houses, wouldn't you say, Betty?
Oh, yeah. I think I'll bring that one home with me. I get it on the airplane, huh?
Yeah, yeah. These really are nice. There are some big mansions, and some of the famous people from Melbourne live in these parts here.
While you're shopping today, for those of you who shop in the city, you'll probably see a big store, Myers store. And Myers is the largest retailer in the Southern Hemisphere, and this is the Meyer mansion on the right. Now, don't ask me to put a value on that one, because I just couldn't even guess.
I just wonder if it is a good real estate market in Melbourne.
And the area we're coming into is known as the Village. And if you look on the right-hand side there, you'll see one of the houses in the Tudor styling of the Tudor Village. Quite a few of them are. Second building on the left there, where the Henry Bucks sign is. It's a very exclusive shopping area, and a little bit like a place in Sydney called, just to give you an idea, there's a place in Sydney called Double Bay, and everyone calls it Double Pay. Well, Toorak is very much like that, like the Beverly Hills, for argument's sake. Very, very expensive area to shop. If you go into one of the little coffee lounges here, you pay, instead of $1.50 for a cup of coffee, you pay probably $3 or somewhere thereabouts. A lot of exclusive little boutiques. You'll notice the cars are around, usually a lot of Rolls Royces, although I haven't seen one in here today, but BMWs, Mercedes, Porsches, that type of thing. Range Rovers. Usually very expensive cars in the area.
Well, I'll tell you what, we can leave Rodeo Drive of Melbourne today.
Well, it doesn't look like the Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills. It's a far cry from that.
But the prices are the same. That's about it for this edition of the Adventures Travel Club. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.